Hi there, welcome. I'm Christine Weber, and today I want to show you triangle from the inside out, working with your lungs. Today we're going to talk a little bit about lateral bends, why they matter, how you can create more Brahmana with them, how you can create more energy with them, how you can create more interoceptive awareness with them. Um, and and then I want to show you a specific way of using triangle pose from the inside out. So I think it's really easy to get caught up in external cues for lots of asanas. Like where to put, like where, what are you doing with rotation of your femur bones, and where you put your hand, and how you're oriented towards something outside of yourself rather than those internal feelings. And external cues can be really helpful in my experience and my teaching over many, many years, decades, really, almost 3 decades now. Um, what I've found often is that people respond really well to external cues when they haven't spent a lot of time in being internal or interocepting. So, and there could be lots of reasons for that. It could be training, it could be trauma, it could be just not paying attention to your body, which a lot of people live their life like that. So, when you're coming to yoga and you don't really know what the poses are and stuff, and then people give you these cues like, take your arm towards the ceiling, like that makes sense. And then I found working with people over the years who they've been doing that for a while, and they get it. They know how to move their bodies in yoga, or they had lots of training in like something like dance or gymnastics or meditation, martial arts. So they've done some of a little bit more of this internal stuff. Not that dance and gymnastics are always internal, but there's an element of that. It's kind of proprioception plus interoception, really, when you're talking about elite athletes. Anyway, that what I found working with folks like that is often like take your arm to the ceiling is fun. That's easy. But what's more interesting is what if you bend your elbow and take your hand in front of your face and then start to lift your arm by using your breath and feeling the extension from your shoulder to the tips of your fingers. And what if you spread the fingers out a little bit and then breathe into the right side? Right. Like those sorts of cues start to tune us into something really different than the external take your hand towards the ceiling. And it's in that internal awareness, it's in that development of that internal awareness that we then be able to transfer that skill to other areas of our lives, so that when you hear something bad happen, or there is an accident, God forbid, or the news cycle is overwhelming, which is what's going on right now, right? That you then can you can tune into those transferable skills that you learned in your asana practice to go, how is my body responding right now? And what do I need to do to self regulate and come back into that window of tolerance and into optimal nervous system arousal? That's what matters. Like, that's why I teach yoga the way that I teach it, because I want it to be transferable to the rest of your life. And for some people, that's sort of like an intuitive thing that just happens sort of as a side effect of their yoga practice. And other people, it needs to be much more explicit. So I'm on the side of like teaching it explicitly. Okay, so um, this is why do lateral bends matter? Lateral bends give us an opportunity, of course, to work into the side body. And the side body is something like we just don't think about it that much. Like, I think a lot of us go around thinking we're just flat Stanley. You remember flat Stanley? Just like or front and back. And we forget about the sides a lot. But we are 3D creatures, and the side body also. And that's why lateral bends and twist poses are the poses that get us into the side body. Also in Chinese medicine, you have the gallbladder and liver meridians running through the side body. And so supporting them, keeping them supple. That's actually what the liver and gallbladder are about. The wood element in Chinese medicine is all about staying flexible and supple. And, so the side body is a really important part that we have to pay attention to for that. The other reason side body practices are helpful is because they're what is called brahmana in the Ayurvedic slash yoga chikitsa tradition. Yoga chikitsa is yoga therapy, right? So they help us, and they typically are brahmana, right? They help us to access the inhale, which is, of course, pushing us into that sympathetic part of the autonomic nervous system. So it helps us to build resilience in that hyper aroused state, right? It can also help to lift us up when we're feeling exhausted and fatigued. So it has they have numerous benefits. So rather than thinking about triangle pose as this thing, like I often, I often call triangle pose the pose that shall not be named because everybody, if I say triangle pose, everybody's like, "Hmm," and it's, "Hmm," and the whole thing, we have that triangle pose is considered one of the beginner poses in some of the traditional lineages. So it's like everybody knows how to do triangle pose. And so I like to just like sweep all that away, start with beginner's mind, and just think about a lateral bend, not necessarily triangle pose. Like it's all called Utthita Trikonasana. It's all in that category, but there's many, many adaptations and variations of that posture. So for our purposes right now, I would invite you to just separate your feet as much as or as little as you want. Just separate your feet a little bit. Keep the feet pointing forward. And then what we're going to work with today is getting specifically into the lungs. So this is an inside out kind of instruction for this pose, thinking about moving from the inside or moving from your organs, if you like. Now, let's be clear, the organs do not move. I mean, your lungs do two things. They inflate and deflate. That's it. It's all the structures. It's the respiratory musculature, the respiratory myofascia, the bones involved in respiration. It's and the nerves and the fascia and the endocrine structures that are it's like all of that stuff that is relevant. I don't know if the endocrine structures are, but you could definitely say the nerves are. All of that stuff is relevant. So for our purposes here, we're just going to take the feet apart, facing forward. Whatever hand you want, take it out to about shoulder height. Other hand can be on your leg. And we're just going to use an inhale to kind of draw an arc or a rainbow over to the side, and then exhale back. Soften that elbow as much as you want to out to the side, right? Now, for some people, bend the elbow up and over, and then fold the elbow back and down. That can feel really good. Try that a few times if you like. So we're using an inhale to kind of blow up that side body, and the arm is supporting it. So some people like the rainbow and some people like the folded arm, and you could do either of those, right? Then if you got stuff going in your shoulder, let the hand work here, and then you get to work even more subtly, right? Now, I wanted to do it a few times before we stay. And then when you're ready to stay here in any version of this lateral bend that I'm going to call triangle pose, even though the yoga police might pull me over for it, we'll stay here. And then we're going to see if we can explore the breath. And by the way, you could look down if your neck is feeling it, right? So explore what happens in your armpit when you breathe in, what happens in the side ribs when you breathe in, what happens in the waist. The inhale is really supported here, and feel it as if it's just that lung on that side that's doing the work. The lung is breathing, is opening up the area and then softening. So one more. And then release that down. So it's really nice before you do the other side to notice the difference. Even like, right through the midline of all the structures on that side you just did. Shoulder, armpit, lung, rib cage, all the way up into your face, neck, head, all the way down into your fingertips, and notice how different they feel. Okay, so now we're going to do the other side. So you can take that other arm out to the side and your one hand on your leg. Exhale completely. Firm your belly a little bit because that helps the exhale. And then you can take a bigger inhale up and over. And it might be like you're just drawing a rainbow, or it may be this folding in and unfolding, folding up, right, and down. That can be really a nice way to move for the shoulder. I learned that movement actually from my Feldenkrais teachers. So that can be another way of doing it. Okay, now next time you come into the lateral bend, it's really nice to repeat before you stay. It's nice for the Golgi tendon organs to let go if there's some repetition. Okay, so you stay here for a little bit. You might want to look up, you might want to look down, and then just visualize that whole right lung, the right side of your chest. When you inhale, it opens you up a little bit. When you exhale, you can engage your lower belly. That can be supportive, especially for your sacrum. Although we got the hips pretty neutral here, so it's probably fine, but nevertheless, breathing into the armpit, the ribs, and just taking your time here. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. We're just kind of exploring the sensations of the breath and a little bit of how the Brahmana happens. So that little bit of that uplifting energy. One more breath here. And when you're ready, you can release that down. And again, you want to go right back into interoceptive pause. So you notice that whole side of the body you just worked on. I was working my right side, but it doesn't matter, whichever one you were working on. And it's almost like a midline thing. So everything over there, my neck, my head, my face, there's different baroreceptor things happening in your in the neck on either side. So notice that. Notice the tingling down into the peripheral nervous system and the fingertips, shoulder. Different, right? Okay, what's really nice is to do a forward bend because it's symmetry that creates integration. So a little forward bend, whatever your choice is, you can put your hands on a chair, on the floor, let go of your head. Just a soft one, doesn't have to be big. When you're ready, lay them back up and walk your feet together. So see if you feel the Brahmana, see if you feel a little bit of that nourishing, uplifting kind of sensations from that little teeny tiny little lateral practice. If you're interested and you'd like to learn a little bit more of how to sequence for the nervous system, I'm teaching a workshop October 21st and November 4th, I think it is, 2 Saturdays with one Saturday in between. It's the same workshop, so there's two parts to it. And I put the link in the description of this video. So click on the link and have a look at it if you want to know more, if you'd like to study with me more. Thanks so much for being here. And please leave a comment, and I'll see you next week.